ain't sleeping till Hollywood, Hollywood. We ain't sleeping.
Hello, hello, hello. This is the No Sleep Till Hollywood podcast. We're not sleeping until we make it in Hollywood. And while we're up, we will be discussing the state of the industry and our place in it. It's your girl, Gaelyn Smith.
It's your boy Caleb McDonald, and this summer, vacation. Let's go to the islands for this topic, specifically Love Island. Yes, it is. It
Love
is
Island.
the reality show of the summer. A reality show filmed in multiple countries. There's
There
UK,
are
there's
so many Love
USA,
Islands.
Australia, South Africa. Matter of fact, this if you're keeping up with the USA's series, you'll see that they keep advertising the Love Island games where they're bringing everyone from every country in order to play again.
That
It's
sounds so messy. Why do we need that?
it's funny too cuz like the tagline is dead like to the people who didn't find love the first time. Yo, you basically say, yeah, we got the losers back.
Also, like, it kills me because they're always like, Love Island USA, Love Island UK. And then you watch it and it's like everyone's already from 70 different places anyway. Like,
Right.
Love Island UK is like basically just like Love Island Europe. Australia takes place in Spain, and it's like Love Island, like Australia, like parts of Africa. Like, it's just like they're
Mhm.
all international. None of
All
them
of
are
them.
like, other than the US, none of them are really like
Yeah.
specific to the region.
The only one that probably has it is like Love Island Spain and like France, because like no, actually, never mind. I
Think about it.
rescind what I
What's
was
the
about
thing?
to
I was like,
say.
think about it. We had like 3 people from Love Island UK this year who are from France.
Yeah,
So like,
yeah, no, I take back everything I was about to say.
I don't know
It's
what they be doing over
international.
there.
It's international. And for those of you who have not watched Love Island, I know my co-host has definitely seen bits and pieces here and there,
I have watched some seasons.
and
Have I ever finished a season? No, because there's too many damn episodes, y'all.
I've
I
been roped into watching it. And for those who don't know, the show is basically a group of people on an island, and the winners of the game show are just whoever finds the purest love as determined by the voters. Um,
Purist.
I mean, how else?
Literally, the way they describe the show is hot singles living together in a villa for a summer of fun. That is like the official way
Yeah,
that they
but
describe
when
the
it
show.
comes down to like the winners, it's like whoever the
I wouldn't
public
say it's the
deems.
purest love. I think it's the people that, quote unquote, we think look good together, that entertained us the most, and hopefully had some type of a love connection. Like, I don't think if you were like not a love connection at all, you could win. But like,
Mhm.
if it was about purest love, Whitney and Locken would have won.
Well, that's where we really get into our topic. I think Whitney and Locken would have won if it wasn't for the racism of Love Island.
Why did
Thank
you
you
do?
very much.
Why did you do it like that?
Because in a world where we had editors available all week, that would have been the perfect edit. What a, you know?
I hate you so.
But
That was such a wild. That was so funny, guys. This is unhinged. Much like Love Island, this is unhinged.
but yes, no, okay. So at the end of the day, the winners are
Yeah,
just the
they're
favorite
supposed to be
couple.
people who find love, but again, I don't know that you really can find love with somebody in 6 weeks. Also,
Especially
considering like sometimes people find love, like Whitney and Locken. Locken ain't come in till what, week 4?
yeah, that's
They're
true.
supposed to fall in love in 2 weeks.
That's true. No,
Like,
cuz with other shows, like The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, like that's like one person being the focus.
yeah.
Um Love
But
Island,
I think in some ways it's almost harder because like it's 20 something people trying to date one person
right.
versus like Love Island, since it's all about like the big thing is coupling up.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's usually an even number of guys to girls, and then every other week or so they'll like add more guys than girls or vice versa.
Mhm.
But it's like everyone's trying to get to know everyone as opposed to like 20 people trying to get to know one person.
Because it's very much a dating pool
Yeah, it's just like a small subsection of the dating pool in a house, and you wear bikinis all the time.
all the time.
My
Because
dad
it.
was so concerned. I was like watching like Love Island UK one day, and he
Mhm.
was so concerned. He was like, "They're gonna get colds." I was like, "Daddy, it's the summertime." He's like, "You ain't ever had a summer cold?" I said, "You're right, sir. My bad." No, literally, they get coupled up the first night, and they're like in the bed with a stranger, and that's wild because I feel like if we had like a 7-day get to know you, and then we started getting in beds with people, I would
Mhm.
feel a little better.
Yeah,
We don't
that.
know these people. You just gonna get in the bed with somebody and go to sleep? I feel like I probably wouldn't sleep the first couple days.
You know, I'm gonna be wide awake in that bed.
Or like I'm putting like the meanest pillow fort down the middle.
And they do pillow forts. They do pillow forts. Usually when the couple is at odds, but
Or when they trying to
because my thing is too, when it comes to like the coupling and like sleeping in the bed, what happens when you're the couple that like got stuck together? No interest, but somebody had to pair up with somebody. So now you're
well,
just there.
I just think about it because like I remember this happened on maybe Real World or like one of those other earlier shows, but like sexual assault. Like
Mhm.
we do not know these people.
Yeah.
And as much as like the producers do interviews, people say what they're gonna say to get on TV. And you
Hmm.
never really know how people are gonna act until they get in certain situations. Like I just don't like the idea of like setting people up. That was my dad's big issue with the show, is he felt like consent culture on the show was very flimsy,
Which
which we'll get into a
we
little
will
bit
get
deeper.
into absolutely.
Because I know we
Um,
talked a little bit about racism on the show, but like that's not the only thing that's problematic about Love Island. Similar to Big Brother, it's like it just gets to be a lawless land, and producers don't really be producing the way that they should.
right. And then some producers should not be producing
Should not
anything, actually.
ignore.
When it does come to racism on Love Island, are there any thoughts that you have
I mean, I
before we
think
go
the
into the
biggest
facts?
thing that pops out for Love Island is it's always these beautiful black women. They be the most beautiful women you've ever seen in your life, and then they're always by themselves and nobody wants them. And I'm just always like, and with the black guys, it happens a little bit as well too, but like I feel like black guys, because of fetishization, like they get chosen by these white girls a little bit
Mhm.
more than like we see the black girls being chosen by anybody. And
Right.
it's just always very frustrating to me because I'm not saying everybody has to want to date black girls, but why would you cast black women if you're not also going to cast men who are interested in dating black women?
Yeah,
And not
that's
as like a secondary, not as a, oh, I guess, but like if you're not like, no, I actively date black women or I actively date everybody, but like my preference is to like, why leave them at home?
yeah.
You
No,
know how
because
hard it is to keep your weave and wig looking good for 6 weeks in the middle of the heat? We could be at home if y'all not gonna find somebody that's gonna want to date you. Like, it just makes no sense to me.
I know in Love Island, Australia, the contestant Baku, I do not know how to
Mhm.
pronounce her last name. She said that she felt like she was set up to fail as a bombshell because everyone's their preference was blonde hair, blue eye, 5 foot nothing. She's 5'9" herself, and yeah, no, it's like we understand that everyone's entitled to their preference, but why would you put somebody on the show who's not in the realm at all?
It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I feel like that was like the whole big deal of when The Bachelor came out, and then you had Flavor of Love that came out. Flavor of Love was the first like dating reality show that was a black man, and the majority of the cast were black women.
Mhm.
And like that was very much like one of the only shows where like I mean, granted, it was Flavor Flav, like I don't know why girls are acting a fool over Flavor Flav, but
Right.
at least like we saw somebody actively pursuing black women
Hmm.
on television versus like you get on Love Island and it just feels very much like I don't know, Love Island feels like a show where they're like, they are aware that they can't just have an all white house because that would be problematic,
Yeah.
but they don't. So they invite black folks on the show, or they invite Asian folks on the show, or they, they mix it up ethnicity wise, but then they always are picking people, and they center in terms of like how they edit the shows. Like the leads of the season are
Hmm.
always people who don't want to date black women or other women of color.
Right.
And then it just is like awkward. Like I think maybe it was Vaku, or maybe it was one of the other women that we were reading about. I can't think of her name at this moment, but like who were like spent most of their time crying in the Love Island villa because nobody wanted to talk to them, and it's just like why? Why
That
are
might
we
have
here?
been Sorrento Springs.
Yes, Serenity, yeah.
Serenity.
But just like that's not fun. Like at that point, it's like if you're not, and granted,
Hmm.
of course, you don't know everyone's dating type and preferences. People get in the villa, like especially if you come in as a bombshell, you're coming in later. Like people might already have connections. Like I'm not saying that like you can solve the issue,
Yeah.
but like if you're casting 5 and 5 initially, and your 5 women, like in your 5 women, there's 1 or 2 black girls, and none of your 5 guys want to date black girls, fix your 5 guys.
Yeah.
Because why should we have to wait for 2 weeks for somebody new to come into the villa to want to date the black girls versus like,
And just like with Big Brother, Love Island is a show that has 10 plus, I want to say 20 plus seasons if we're counting the worldwide scope of
I
it
think if
all.
we count all of the UK, because I think UK is on 20 something by itself. Like I think we're really closer to like 40 seasons of Love Island plus
Oh,
something crazy like that.
that's a lot. But that
Yeah,
being
that's a lot
said,
of ones.
if you were to look at 2023's Love Island UK and Love Island USA, there were a good amount of black women. And the issue that still like pokes through, um, even though people were pulling these black women for a chat, the issue then is you have other people in the house who are invalidating any chemistry that's going on, such
Yeah.
as like, oh, but I don't really see them as competition. Why is that? I
That
don't think
girl
that.
who was mad, and I guess it was like season like 2019 or something, like way
Mhm.
back. But like the girl who was shocked that the black guy chose the black girl over her,
Right.
like dumbfounded and floored. Or like honestly, that was how I felt about like Catherine and Scott this season. When they had that whole like everyone was like, I don't see them as a thing, I'm seeing this thing. And then Scott called that house meeting. Everybody was like, Scott was wrong for that. No, he wasn't.
Hmm.
He was not. I was happy to see somebody standing up for our black queen because
Right.
just because she's black and he white, they can't like each other. They can't vibe. He can't
She was
like
trying to
her
get
more than he might like Molly May and Susie Q. Like,
and Scott likes himself a black woman because
and do.
when he got onto Love Island USA, he went straight for Imani, which I do not blame him. Imani,
I did not watch Love Island
wow.
USA. I was too exhausted from UK, and I didn't even finish UK this season. Like that, those are the Love Island and Big Brother are them shows that to me you got to start the day that they happen. Because if you got to catch up, it's
It's a
already
dub.
over.
It's a dub. They produce like 100 episodes a week, so
You want me to watch 500 episodes a week of people in bikinis?
I
They
cannot
got
do it.
sunstroke. That's why they silly. They got sunstroke.
And majority of them being white too, because
They sunburnt, honey. Them little crispy pieces of fish. I don't know what to tell you.
in one article that we did read before this recording, it talked about how blackness became integral to Love Island, especially this year,
Yeah.
because like yeah, no, all the prominent figures, all the fan favorites, black. Don't know
You
what
want
to
to
tell you.
say you may hate Ella and Ty, but them your peoples.
Those are your peoples.
Listen, Ella gave us that sound. You can't be friendly with girls.
You
Girls
can't
take
be friendly.
friendly as weak. I
Say
was like,
babes.
that was so funny to me. That moment, I
Hmm.
was like, I know she's being serious and she feels this with her whole heart, but I am weeping.
Whole heart. No, she was speaking on behalf of women in that
No, she really
episode.
was.
She felt.
But I think the thing is, like, I feel like it's been interesting to see like Love Island get more comfortable with blackness. Like, I feel like the earlier seasons, like it'd be black girls pretending they didn't wrap their hair at night. And now you just see like do-rags, bonnets, wig
Right.
bands. Um, I think it's just really interesting. Like we kind of have been talking about this. It's like the black girls are always last to be chosen. I feel like they often go home unhappy,
Mhm.
whether it's because they go home with somebody that they didn't really want to go home with, or they're just like no one wants them, and so they get kind of kicked off the island. I think it's also interesting that the producers of the show don't see the issues. Like when they've been
Right.
talked to, it was a couple articles we read where it was like, oh, we reached out to the producers for comment, and they're like, we vehemently reject racism. Like, there's no racism on Love Island. And it's like, no, we can point to several moments where contestants have said things, and then you guys have made social media posts about it to
Right.
support the problem. Like the contestant, I think it was on Australia, who is he was like South Asian, and they called him like Aladdin,
Aladdin.
and then they made the tweet about it. I'm like, no. It was one thing that the contestant said that to him. You can't control what comes out of her mouth. Valid.
Right.
But then for you to make the tweet about it, you are condoning this like erasure and simplification of an entire culture.
Which there are situations where, obviously someone in mass media does look like some other
Yes.
people. This man had no connection to
No
Aladdin.
connection.
Yo,
Like
like,
I was on Love Island and somebody was like, "You remind me of Keke Palmer." Okay, valid. People have been saying that to me my entire life.
mhm.
That makes sense. But if you met me and you were just like, "Oh my gosh, you are just like Kelly Rowland," I'd be like, "You just think all black people look alike and act alike."
And it's also crazy for them to deny racist allegations racist accusations when they actually were like right now there's a lawsuit
Yeah.
for Love Island,
Yes.
and it's specifically one of the facts of the case is that they impeded um, the ability to forge connections between a black contestant and other men. And the comment that they released on behalf of themselves were, well, we just knew that none of the other men wanted her.
And we wanted to keep her from being rejected. It's an interesting for people who watch the show differently, and these names may be important to you differently. So it's Jasmine Crestwell and Alex Ranks. They allege that producers pressured Islanders to engage in sexual relationships and mistreated black contestants. And kind of going back to that consent thing that I had brought up earlier,
Mhm.
apparently there was just like a total disregard for consent. They were often pushing these women into having intimate and sexual moments with other castmates, whether they wanted to, whether the castmate men even cared about them, like very much pushing this thing, which I think is the issue of Love Island for me is that so many of the challenges, like the kissing challenges, like everything is you do this random stupid thing and then you kiss somebody.
Yeah.
And there was a challenge going back to kind of that race thing, I think in season 5 of the UK, where the only person who wasn't chosen at any point in a challenge was a man of color. And
Mhm.
so people were like, we can't say that we want to force everybody to be picked in a challenge because like we don't want women and men to have to kiss people that they don't consent to having to kiss. That's
Right.
that's a problem in itself. But again, don't create an environment where somebody's going to feel unwanted. Don't then in that unwanted environment create pressure to have sexual relationships to stay on the show. Like there's just so many issues like they were worried about like I don't know. I feel like if you're going to spend your energy trying to do stuff, maybe don't force people to have sex. Maybe force people to get to know the black girl even though that might not necessarily be where they would have gone initially. But
Right.
maybe you have to go spend 10 minutes talking to her and get to know her and see if that does anything. But like
Because my other thing is like, the show is called Love Island. And for all intents and purposes, it is like a social experiment.
right.
Love, like, feelings can, slide through the scale.
Yeah, yeah.
So to say, oh, we're protecting her because we know no one likes her, imagine if they got to know her. It's not that hard. It's not that difficult. So,
Especially it's just like I don't know. And then it's also again that goes back to what we've said a few times. If you know none of the guys like her, why is she here? Why are we wasting her time? Why are we embarrassing her on national television? and international television in this case, because everybody watches Love Island UK and US. I feel like are the most international franchises, and the other ones I feel like are a little bit more region specific.
Yeah.
But it's like, why do that? It doesn't have to be that way, and I think that's the thing that really gets me the most. Is like, literally, why are we doing this? It's like
And on the
the
same
amount of
note,
manipulation is just crazy.
yeah, no, I was just about to say on the same note, the manipulation by the producers, because one, it was said that there were producers from the UK franchise that
Oh
were
yeah.
hired for Love Island USA because they were hired to like bolster the ratings, despite those members having a history of racism and abusive practices. And
The
so,
UK is like the flagship. Like the UK
right,
was where it started. So there has been issues in the UK that now you're bringing those people over to the US, but without addressing the issues. Like, because really, to me, what that sounds like was there was an issue in the UK one, and to avoid further issues, they just moved them to the US.
they basically pulled the Catholic Church.
They pulled the SU drama, but we ain't got to get into that.
And
You're not supposed
then
to be Kill of the Dead, but all I know is professors getting caught in inappropriate relationships. They get sent to London for a year, and then they come back,
and then
and
they
then
come back.
teach for 68 more years.
But the emotional manipulation is also crazy because like producers are obviously like egging on relationships, because something else that I know is that like the producers, if they know that A is talking about B and B is talking about A, but they're not actually talking to each other, the producers will go to each other and be like, hey, you gotta go, because like they're saying the same thing, yada
Yeah.
yada yada. Which that would take a lot of trust from me, because what if you're trying to make me look stupid on TV?
And because they are. Because that's the other thing is they also
Yeah.
probably lying to you about who said what about who.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of times, and I feel like that's how I felt about the whole like Medi Whitney thing when I was really upset because Whitney, Ella, and was it Jess? Not Molly, it was Jess, I think. They
Jess.
got into a conversation and Jess started crying. And Jess literally the next day was like, no, y'all didn't do anything to me. It was just an emotional moment. And those words were just hard for me to process. Medi running around talking about some Whitney, you caused drama, and I don't want people that's going to cause drama. But he never asked her what happened.
Right.
And I was like, that felt like to me a moment where I was like, one, I don't like, and this has happened to me in my own life, where we assume that if a black girl and a white girl in a conversation, the white girl cries, the black girl did something to make the white girl cry.
Mhm.
Have an issue with that as it is. But I'm also like, the producers definitely hated Whitney at that moment because they were just trying to get her separated from Medi. And granted, I didn't like Medi for a number of reasons. He needed to go. But like, I just felt like that was like a clear moment for me. I was like, the producers are giving you half of an information and having you run through the house without the other half of the story.
Um,
Why do we like this show, Caleb? We ain't said a good thing about this show.
we haven't said one good thing about it.
We're talking. I'm just like,
At
why
all.
do we watch this show? Why do we enjoy it?
Because it's one of America's favorite pastimes, which is also one of America's most problematic pastimes, which is dating.
Yeah.
That's really all it is.
The fact that Love Island UK is the #1 show in the UK for the 6 weeks that it's on each summer. Like by far. Like not even like, oh, and close behind and
Yeah, no, it's dating without the stakes because you're not in it. You get to judge people all you want.
This is true.
You get to feel the, heart warmth of a good little moment, no matter how toxic that relationship is.
Woo! Ella and Ty took us for a ride, bro. Oh my God.
And then, of course, you have manipulation from the producers to make it edgy. Just like the fact that they'll bring exes into a season.
And you know what's crazy? So you know X on a Beach on MTV?
Mm-hmm.
I've never watched it, but what I found out was they bring all of them there under the guise of a different MTV dating show. And then the exes pop up. So it's not like you're going on X on a Beach.
Right.
You think you're going on something else. And then bop bop. And that's crazy.
No, that's actually insane.
Because I'm thinking about between Love Island, X on the Beach, like, I don't got no exes that I'd be happy to see pop up on the island.
That's my thing. Like, what if you just brought somebody's toxic abuser on the show? And now, while they're trying to enjoy a chat over here, what are you doing? Yo, we've been broken up for years. Let it
We've been
go.
broken up for 4 years, bro. Get the out of my face.
The only show that I support with the whole um, blindfolding its guests is Too Hot to Handle. Actually, do you know the
Ain't that the one
premise?
where they can't have sex where they lose the money?
Yeah. So but they bring everyone there with the premise of, oh, you're gonna be on this reality show where like it's just a tour of this beach or whatever, and so like they're almost encouraging everyone to like get to know everyone, mingle, have a chat, and then like 12 hours in, that's when they'll get the notice. Okay, you're actually on Too Hot to Handle. So anything that you were planning on doing, all that flirting you were doing, yeah, it's got to stop. And in that show, the challenges are actually like to help you dive deeper into like your relationships and
Okay.
like your connections. Like it's actually, and I say this hesitantly, an ethical
I was like, is this
dating
celibacy?
show.
This is like forced celibacy.
It's not forced because people be losing that money. People be losing that money. You would think with how much money's on the line,
How long they got to be celibate for?
the whole entire.
But how long is the show?
I mean, you know how Netflix does like 10 episodes, but like
But I'm like,
it
is it
might
like 2
be.
weeks, 6 weeks, 10 weeks?
I think it's 6 weeks.
That's not that long.
It's really not, especially for
You
someone
really
you
should
just met.
be with somebody shorter than 6 weeks that you just met. Really?
For someone you just met, you ready to jump their bones?
I mean, listen. Everybody grown.
Yeah,
Everybody got passed. I'm not judging nobody. I'm just saying maybe we all should wait 6 weeks at a minimum.
all right.
And we would probably be in better situations. I know in Are You the One, they'll bring the exes sometimes. And that's like they bring them in, but only for a short amount of time. Like they come in and they leave.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like they're there for like 24 hours. And it's like they get to come in and kind of like start shit and then leave. Or it's like funny. It's always funny when you have like the people on Are You the One are dating people and then their exes come and you're like, that motherfucker look a lot like
Right.
like you have a type, girl. That's always
That's
funny.
right. No, it was funny on Love Island UK, bringing it back to our topic.
Yes.
It was funny on Love Island UK because they brought in Ty's situationship buddy,
Oh, yeah.
and she had the same name.
That was crazy.
Yo, if I find out the person I'm with was with someone of the same name, I'm sorry, we're done. Like, no, I got the ick.
Ty was so messy that whole season though, because he was always talking about some, yeah, I love my girl, I'm lock it down. And then 4 seconds later, gone. Just like
That turn.
their Casa Amor was kind of crazy. I was like, Ella, y'all just said y'all was gonna lock it down. Now you over here making out with this man and you gonna bring him in the house?
Right.
It
Now
was
y'all
when you make out with him in Casa Amor. You should have left him at Casa Amor though.
gonna make him look like a saint now.
All right. Now everybody's gonna be like, look, see, this is why you don't trust these bitches. Man, now I gotta survive this because you want it to be silly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Love Island, it is a fun show. I mean, I definitely watch it while I'm doing other things. Like it's a background noise of a show for me. But it is fun. I think there is something to be said for like it's a microcosm of the dating experience. And I think that like Love Island, I don't know, Love Island for me just reminds me of going to PWIs. Like being a Black girl dating at white schools. Yeah. Love Island feels, I mean, obviously we weren't in bikinis in Syracuse, but like similar. It felt like a lot of, I don't know, a lot of people that you would want to date, they wasn't dating Black girls. Then the Black guys who did date Black girls, did you really want them? No, not at all. As we always say in Syracuse. Syracuse was a school full of wives with no husbands.
Waiting till the end of the season to close things off.
A school of wives with no husbands.
No husbands.
Wasn't a husband to be found.
Oh, and I'm including myself when I say that.
I can't stand you. Y'all, I don't even, do we end on that note? That feels like such a crazy note to end on. But like, I don't have anything else to say. Y'all, this has been another episode of No Sleep Till Love Island. I don't even know the name of the show.
No Sleep Till Love Island. What?
I got
Um,
confused.
Imani from Love Island USA. If you're seeing this, talk to the page. I can't say me at the moment, but talk to the No Sleep page.
Don't send no DMs to the page. I'm trying to keep you alive, sis. Don't do it.
After I just said I'm not a husband.
I was gonna say, but that, and then also the other tea that you had dropped on the pod a few episodes ago. You can't be out here shooting your shot. The listeners know.
She had a bigger crush on Imani than I did.
That's fine. She can initiate that, but you can't.
That was
As a girl's girl, shut up, Caleb. As a girl's girl, shut the fuck up. You don't see anything. Okay?
the DM was for her.
Oh, okay. Then that's fine. Go ahead. Reshoot your shot. Go ahead. My bad.
So again, Imani, Love Island USA. If you would like to talk to the podcast, maybe have you on for an episode. You know,
Yeah.
people would love to talk to you.
And by people, we mean on that note, that's a better note to end on than the other one. On that note, this has been another episode of No Sleep Till Hollywood. You can follow us at No Sleep Till Hollywood on the Instagrammies, and then you follow me at G Smitty with 2 T's and 4 Y's on literally anything with an at symbol. I don't really use spell no more though, so follow me at your own risk.
And my name is Caleb McDonald. You can follow me at Caleb Subtitles. If you didn't comprehend that, you could read my subtitles. And thank you for listening. You know, follow the podcast page.
Oh gosh.
No Sleep Till Hollywood.
Yes. And thank y'all for listening. As always, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. And until next time, good night, good morning, bonjour, bonsoir, adios. Bye, guys.
Bye, Imani.